And I said, that's great. I said, but think about if we had $1 to invest, Desmond, we said, hey, we can invest this dollar and make 15% on our money. So we're doubling our money every like 4-ish years, right?
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Campfire Capitalism. I am your host, Desmond Dixon, and today we have my man, Chris Larsen, on the track. Welcome to the Campfire, Chris.
Desmond, great to see you again, my friend.
Awesome. So, hey, man, let me give you a quick intro before we hop in. So Chris Larsen is the founder and managing partner of Next Level Income. Level up. Chris has been investing and managing real estate for over 20 years while still a college student. He bought his first rental property at the age of 21. Chris then expanded into development, private lending, buying distressed debt, as well as commercial offices, and ultimately syndicating multifamily properties. He began syndicating deals in 2016 and has been actively involved in over $400 million of real estate acquisitions. Chris is passionate about helping investors become financially independent. Welcome to the show, Chris, man, once again.
Desmond, thanks, buddy.
Dude, all right, man. Your journey is fascinating because I know that we used to vibe on. We were both, former engineers and sales guys and investors. So just kind of give our audience a take on like who Chris is and how Chris became Chris, man. Like, what's your journey, brother?
Yeah, I'll give you the elevator pitch here on the Chris Larsen story. But if you're listening today and you're in the US, I'll send you a copy of my book, Next Level Income. Go to nextlevelincome.com, click on the book link, put your address in. If you're like Desmond, you're a world traveler, then you can download the ebook or the audio book and take a look at it there as well. But yeah, I went to college for engineering, biomechanical specifically. And I really didn't want to be an engineer. I realized that 2 weeks into my engineering degree. And the reason is I was racing my bicycle. So I wanted to be a professional cyclist. Actually, I just got done with the ride. I still ride. My older son just started racing, which is kind of fun. But it was my life. It was my passion. And I did that until my junior year. And the reason is my best friend, my roommate in college, passed away. And we trained together. We raced together. We were roommates. He died actually a year prior between my freshman and sophomore year. And I put my head down to race for another year. And one day at the end of a race I'd won, I came across the line. I felt hollow, and I just realized that it was kind of silly riding around in a circle. I raced mainly road bikes, and there was more to life. And I went back to school. I decided to quit racing my bicycle. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to let a day pass me by where I have an opportunity that I look back and I regret not taking. And at the foundation of that, I think the fortunate or unfortunate reality, but the reality of the world we live in, Desmond, is that you need money to do things in the world. So I said, you know what? I need to figure out a way to be financially independent. And step one in that was go out and make some money. But yeah, I bought my first property at 21 that following year after I kind of made that pledge to myself. And I continued on that path. And here we are, over 2 decades later. We've expanded from single family properties. And I feel like I've taken kind of the engineering mentality and the revenue and the income and capital that I've generated through sales to fund the investment strategy. And, fortunately, my family and I, we have that independence that I sought out. And now we seek to help others, teach them about it, as well as provide them with opportunities to invest alongside of us.
Man, I love that. So it's almost like you mastered delayed gratification a little bit, right? Or you're continuing mastering it, because when you buy real estate, you're buying it with the intent of, benefiting from it over a long period of time, right? When you take out these loans and things like that. So talk to me about like the early days, right? Because maybe a lot of the people listening to this are entrepreneurs that are looking to maybe put money to work, or, other investors, right? So like, talk to me a little bit about the early days when you got started and how like your first property turned into talk to me about the transition to multifamily a little bit.
Yeah. Like, look, capitalism is like the worst thing out there, except compared to everything else, right? To make money and being an entrepreneur is is a terrible way to become rich, except unless you compare it to being a W-2 worker, right? So, all these things are challenging. Anything worth doing in life is challenging. And, I was that kid, they did the marshmallow experiment, I think it was at a Harvard study. But they put the marshmallows in front of these 4-year-olds. I was that kid. Like, I put the candy bars in the freezer. I'd save my money for later. Like, I, for whatever reason, was always looking towards the future. And I know I've talked about my best friend, but my father passed away when I was 5. And that may have been it as well. Like, I inherently knew that time was short, but there was a future as well. And maybe it's a little converse, but I knew that there was a value, to time. And I call real estate a get rich slow mentality. You start off and it's really, you make that first investment. I talk to investors. I'm like, it's not that exciting. You have a few $100 coming in a month, $1,000 coming in a month. That's not like life-changing money. But if you do it over a long enough period of time, I talk about this in my book. I had a blog post I wrote about my first investment in college. That first townhouse I bought, $90,000. I put $3,000 down. It was an FHA loan. It's actually less than that, but with closing and everything. And, about 15 years later, I sold that property. I executed what's called a 1031 exchange. So this is the ultimate delay in gratification, because you don't take that money, you play by the IRS rules, and you roll the proceeds and the profits into another property. I took that money that I made on that property, rolled it into another property, which was a 7-unit office space here in Asheville. And we bought it from a bank. So it was, a foreclosure. It was a bank-owned property. We put a little extra money into it. And that original property that I bought for $3,000 today has turned into $3,000 a month, plus a significant multiple of the capital that really would have bought outright that first property. So, over the course of 15 years, you can see how, the magic, if you will, of compound interest grows. And, if you let it do its work and you have a plan and you're disciplined, just like in athletes. So if you're listening, if you're disciplined and you have a training plan and you follow that plan, it may take you years and years to reach the pinnacle. But when you do, the repetition of success is that much easier.
Man, I love compounding, but that's freaking absurd. An FHA loan all the way up into, and you bought sounds like you probably bought like a distressed property, right, from the bank under foreclosure. So you got it at like a steal, and you rolled over and you saved money on the taxes, at least deferred it. I wouldn't say save it, because eventually you got to pay it if you decide to sell it. But that's a whole nother conversation, a whole nother pod.
We can talk about that. There's a lot of ways. You can delay it indefinitely. That's the best part.
Yeah, interest and all types of stuff, right? Which we'll say that for season 4, man, when our listeners become when they want to start creating trust funds.
Beautiful.
So,
love it.
Yeah, man. So the one thing I love about you, Chris, man, is the kind of deals you bring. Like, you can definitely see the engineer and like looking, like the way you look at the world and the way you look at deals. Because I remember when I first talked to you, working on an interesting deal with a car wash. And I talked to lots of different investors, and I haven't met one guy who bought a car wash. So like, talk to me about why buy a car wash and, some of the benefits from it kind of being like a dual asset, right? So kind of talk to me about that, man.
Yeah. So, car washes, look, and if you're an entrepreneur, you're listening, you're a business owner, you're listening, like if you look at a car wash, it's a business, you're buying a business, but I like to call it operating real estate. So any type of real estate that also has an operating business attached to it has another opportunity to improve upon, the operations and ultimately the value. So let's take this. There's a couple different things. So first off, commercial real estate has the benefit of being valued on net operating income. So having 100-unit multifamily property, 100-unit apartment complex, it's like having 100 customers that pay you every month. And let's be honest, it's probably like 95, because, maybe, 2 don't pay you and 2 units are vacant. And then, the other, 96 pay you. And it's like, okay, that's great. Or they slow pay or whatever it is. So like a business, you have some collections and stuff there, but we can control that. We can increase, the amount we charge for our product, for our apartments. We can improve them and charge more. We can also have better operations. So that means we can have better residents that move in with higher quality credit. So maybe we can take our collections from, say 90% up to that 95% level. And we actually have control over the income we're bringing in. So that ultimately controls the value, because these commercial properties are valued like a business on net operating income, or almost like EBITDA. And that's what a car wash is valued on, is EBITDA. So you buy a car wash at a multiple of EBITDA and you sell at a specific multiple of EBITDA. The nice thing is a car wash, yes, it has about a third of the business is tied up in the value of the real estate. So we understand how to evaluate locations in real estate. We use data and analytics, and we overlay those levels of data. So we can say, okay, let's look at traffic. So we can look at traffic flow. We can look at demographics, and we can look at income within an area. We can basically create heat maps to decide what are good locations and formulate an algorithm to determine an approximate level of revenue that we're going to generate from these areas. You also have different models in the car washes. So you have a full service, you have a self-service, then you have what's called an express tunnel. So if anybody's ever driven through, it pulls your car through, it washes your car, you pop out the other side, maybe you have some vacuums that you can do yourself, you have memberships. So we like that because we can control the operations and the quality of the wash. We actually have an engineer that has a mechanical and a chemical background that runs our operations. If you think about that, the mechanics of the car wash and the chemicals that fuel the car wash are very important. And if you're listening and you're like me and you love the environment, you're like, man, that sounds like kind of a dirty business. The great thing is we recycle almost all the water that goes through these washes now. So it's actually more efficient and it's better for the environment than washing your own car in your driveway. It's kind of like a dishwasher. Dishwashers are better than hand washing your dishes, and also saves you a lot more time. So it's very similar. So we love the business from that aspect. The challenge is, Desmond, it took us a long time to build out an operating team, because you can't just go hire a company to run these washes for you if you're buying a lot of washes. So we looked at the space and we said, okay, it's high cash flow. It's highly fragmented. So that means a group like ours, a private equity group that can come in and buy a lot of locations and package them and ultimately sell them to a larger group, to like a private equity group, potentially even do an IPO. There's a lot of value in the ability to scale that. So if you're a small business or you're in a space that has a lot of these mom and pops, you may already know this. You can buy up some of your competition and grow your brand. And there's value, because a really big, well-run brand, ours is Hurricane Car Wash, is going to inherently contain a higher multiple when you sell. If you can run them well, and you can have a brand that's consistent and has awareness with your customers in it. So yeah, we're really excited about the space. I just got back from the car wash show in Nashville here earlier this month, and there's a ton of opportunity, a lot of upside, and it's something that I'm really enjoying sharing with investors as well.
Man, that's super fascinating. It's almost like you're taking advantage of, obviously, the growing economy of the area. You're taking advantage of, obviously, like you said, the cash flow business with the membership model. Wow, subscriptions are amazing because it's predictable cash flow, right? And who cancels subscriptions? I remember living in Denver when I had my car, and I bought a subscription to the place literally right around the corner from my house. Like, there you go. Legit. It went almost every day. And then you're making that operational efficiency. So like now you're lowering your operational costs, which has boosted your profit margins and leaving more money on the boost your net operating income, which then boosts the valuation of the property. Man, that's amazing. And then on top of that, you're also talking about brand power, right? So your multiple might go from, I don't know, I want to guess because I don't know the multiples of car washes, but it's definitely, that's another factor. So
yeah, you can increase the multiple between where you buy and sell by about 50% if you're pulling all the right levers. It's impressive. Yeah.
Dang, that's freaking amazing, man. Hey, if anyone's listening to this and, looking to build a business to sell, understanding multiples is everything. Like, for instance, my, full, disclosure, Chris, like I'm building my recruiting agency to sell it. Right. And I'm building as I'm traveling, because it's like, if I could build a $5 million EBITDA, service-based business that I don't need to be involved in as an operator. Right. Then when I get back to the States in 2024, I should be able to sell that. Right. So Absolutely. Understanding multiples is everything. Cause I think the multiple is like a 3.3. If it's as an operator ran, and if it's like a self ran, it's like a 2.5 average multiple. So it's like, I think it's like what, 30 per 30%, probably a 30% difference in math cash you could take out.
There you
so
go.
Yeah, man. So I love the way you broke all this down. You bring in engineering, that's sick, bringing the right people. So now I want to talk about this because this is something that comes up a lot, and it seems like you've really harnessed, this talent, and and I know that you're super passionate about talking about this stuff. So real estate is a store of value, technically, right? Yeah. It's a hard asset. It's a store of value. As an entrepreneur, our greatest asset is our time, right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
The amount of money our business makes is our runway for how much time are we going to be in business, right? Our cash flow and our reserves, right? So talk to me about like, your take or your contrarian take on time and money for entrepreneurs and investors out there.
Yeah. And I think now this might have a few people trying to reach through the speaker or the screen here and slapping me. But I think we do a real disservice about telling young people to take a lot of risk early in life, because that, to me, it's like, okay, if I could tell you, Desmond, I could give you a plan for financial security by the time you're 40 and you didn't have to work anymore, how much risk could you take at that point afterward? A lot of risk, right? Like you can devote all your extra capital to risk. So if you're building a business and you just go up and you swing for the fences every single time with every marketing strategy, spend all your money, or every hire you overstretch and you're trying to hire the best person, they don't work out, and you run out. If you're executing on all these strategies and you keep running out of money, you can't pay the bills the next month. Your business goes under. So what if you could build a sustainable business that was doing well, that had great, as you were saying, EBITDA or NOI, and it's very profitable month after month. If you can write a check for it, it's not a problem. So if you can build a sustainable business, if you can build sustainable cash flow, passive income that's coming in, if you're a W-2 or an employee that's out there, then you can take lots of risks. And it's the same thing with your time. I was talking to a friend of a friend. So he set up this call, and the gentleman's in his mid-20s. And he's living in California. I said, "Why are you living in California?" He goes, "Well, I like to surf." I said, "Okay." And he's got a property in Utah, in Salt Lake. And I'm like, "All right, so you're paying rent in California because you like to surf. You're renting this out." I was like, "You need to move back to Utah." And he's like, "Well, why?" I was like, "You're paying ridiculous amounts of tax. You can't buy other properties because there's nothing that makes sense for you financially in California." And I said, "That's great." I said, "But think about if we had $1 to invest, Desmond, we said, hey, we can invest this $1 and make 15% on our money. So we're doubling our money every like 4-ish years, right?" And I know that number's not perfect there, but double our money every 4 or 5 years. So every $1 you spend today is $2 you don't have in the future. And I said the same thing to this young gentleman. I said, every year you spend surfing away your life is 2 years that you don't have to surf, say 5 years from now. And he's like, "Man, I never thought about it this way." And I said, "Look, but we're talking about even bigger numbers. We're talking about like being able to invest in a business, or, the investments that he and I were talking about could generate like 30 or 40% returns. We're talking about like short-term rentals." I was like, that means you can double your money twice in that same time period, which means you're losing 4 years in the future. So we forget that money is a value, a store of time that we've worked, which means money is representation of life force. And there's a big discussion about this in the Bitcoin community, whereas, Bitcoin is discussed as being a battery. It's storing power, it's storing money, it's storing value. It's a battery. Money is basically a battery for your time. So you have to consider this when you go out and you spend time. So that means there's a couple factors that go into this equation, a couple of variables, right? Number one is, how long will you live? So first off, I challenge, this is the big thing. The only thing I'm more passionate about than finance is health. My goal is to live to see the year 2100. Okay. So people are like, "Oh, I'm going to live till 80. I'm going to live till 100. How about I'm going to live to 120, or I'm going to live to 130 or 140. Do you know that every year we live right now, every 4 years we live right now, we're able to extend life 1 year? Isn't that crazy? Technology is extending life another year every 4 years. all we have to do is get to the point where technology is extending life a year for every year we live. And theoretically, we can live forever until there's some sort of catastrophic incident in our lives, right? So first off, how would you live if you knew you could make an impact for another 20 or 40 or 50 years in your life? Think about that. And then number two, are you living your life to get the maximum value out of it? So if you knew you were going to die in 10 days or 10 years, how would you live differently? And ask yourself about that. Would you be surfing on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, TikTok? I don't even have TikTok. Would you be watching sports? Like, if you really want to achieve something in your life, you've got to want it, and you've got to realize you have a limited amount of time to achieve it. And then you also have to realize that you have something to give to this world. Everybody listening to the show, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a producer, if you're a father, if you're a mother, if you have somebody in your life that you are out there to help, it's your responsibility, it's your duty to do everything you can to provide the maximum impact that you can for the world and do that. And the way you do that is take your talents and use them to the maximum degree that you can. And that means you have to live like every moment is valuable. And you also have to treat your body like you're a professional athlete, because you have to be able to have health every day, that life force that's coming out. So I've had a bit of a rough week. So I wasn't feeling 100% at the beginning of the week. I slept 9 hours. It's like people say, well, you slept, Chris, you slept in. Yeah, I got to take care of myself so I can get back to 100% and do that. And some days giving it your best, giving it your all is different than other days. For me, that was sleeping an extra few hours yesterday. Today it's being on this podcast with you, Desmond, and doing that. So yeah, I'm super passionate about how to get the most out of your life, how to get the most out of time. And it's what drives me. And unfortunately, I've had some incidents in my life that really, stamped into my psyche that time is finite and my life is very valuable because of that.
Man, so much to unpack there. As you said that I'm over here, I have like a bag of just the worst things you could probably put in your body, like cheesecake and cookies, croissants. Like before the pod, I went to a cafe, like a pastry place. And I was like, yo, I'm just going to load the refrigerator with like little snacks, right? Because I'm on the calls all night. But man, I might have to throw these away, man, after that. Right?
Oh boy. Well, I don't want to make you feel guilty. I think, we gotta listen, we have to enjoy life. Right. And it's a balance. Yeah. Right. And, like work-life balance, nothing's perfectly balanced. We get to enjoy ourselves. Again, going back to that athlete analogy, some days you work out and you're to the point where, you got to get a massage and you're sitting in an ice bath afterwards and you can't really hit that maximum for a couple of days. And other days, you're just recovering from those hard days. So it's cyclical.
Man, but what you said landed in terms of like how we think about compounding and how we could do negative compounding to ourselves by the decisions that we make. And you use the example of your personal life, but also think it's super valid in the business, right?
Oh,
where
so much.
And I'll use an example of this. This was a crazy, man. So in February, I took some risk, right? Because I'm like, yo, I'm rolling in cash. Things are great. Investments are going awesome. Like I could take some risk. And I low-key pay for that. If I would have waited 30 days, Chris, I probably wouldn't have made that decision because I would have had that capital to preserve, right? And because liquidity is everything, man, right? Especially during downturns. So I think that's super interesting. So like, 'cause I know a lot of entrepreneurs or business owners, because everyone has failed, man, right? When you build a business, like there's a lot of people who fell on their face. And usually they fall on their faces because of liquidity, like no cash, right? They got contracts, they got customers
for it. It's not a problem. Yeah.
No cash, can't pay people, can't pay vendors. And the business literally blows up, right? Because they cut off your software or your people quit on you in critical positions because they didn't get their paycheck, right? So, and I think that landed because, usually everyone's in a rush to scale. Like I need to make more. I just said it, I want to scale to $5 million so I can sell it. I mean, that's kind of like my, in terms of EBITDA. But I know that like now if you said this, now I'm gonna start thinking about like, okay, every month before the month starts, is my plan going to put me in a position where no matter the worst thing that happens, I can still pay my people and pay my vendors and not pull my hair out. So I thought that was very valuable, and I appreciate that. So next thing I want to ask you, man, is really like talk to me a little bit more about like next level income, right? Because it sounds like you're doing a lot of things with providing more value to other people because you're obviously financially independent. You're a super smart guy. You're valuing your time. So like, why did you start like next level income? And really, what's the vision for it over the next 20, 30 years or even 50?
Yeah. Wow. 50. That's something I need to get on and think about that. But we'll go back a little bit here and just talk about today, our vision and what we try to do. So really next level income started, Desmond, because a lot of people, we were doing investments, we were syndicating deals. So we started in 2016 when we closed 2015, but we closed our first deal in 2016. But people would reach out and they'd say, "Hey, how did you do it? How can I get to this point? What are you doing?" Going through all these questions, and I realized, hey, we need an education platform. Started a blog. Then my marketing guy said, "Hey, you should start a podcast." I was like, but we did. Because we want to curate the information and bring on experts, people like yourself that can come on and share their knowledge with the world. And then we said, well, what's the concept going to be? And it's going to be about making more money because, you don't have capital until you make capital. So we said, hey, we're going to give you concepts to make more money, keep more money. And that's like you said, don't blow up, right? Like have a sustainable model so you can be there the next day to be in business, to be in life, to invest, all of these things. And we talk about insurance concepts, we talk about tax concepts, all these different things, how to keep more of your money, and then ultimately how to grow your money through different investments and different opportunities that are out there. So so that's the concept of next level income. And it's grown to be both education and opportunities to achieve financial independence. And if you go to the website, everything on the website is free. So our blog is free, our podcast is free. The book, I just said, I'll send you the book for free. We have videos up there. We have so much stuff up there. We do not charge for any of our services. We make money, through our investments and some of the other things that we do with our affiliates, but, we don't charge for anything that's on the website right now. We are about to scale our coaching program. So when I left the W-2 world, I wanted to continue to engage on a daily basis. And I really enjoy sharing, some of the knowledge. So I started coaching. We're going to be launching a group coaching model. So if you're interested, you can send an email to me, Chris at nextlevelincome.com. Just put coaching in the subject line. I can send you more information on that. But that's really the next scope of our growth, Desmond, is how do we really scale and have a bigger impact? So I have a partner that I brought on to help scale that model. We're going to have some online courses and different things, again, just to try to help people get to their next level, whether it's in, make, keep, or grow areas of that strategy.
Amazing. So I got to follow up to that. So out of all the things you've seen, 'cause you probably spoke to tons of different experts, you've probably seen everything underneath the hood in terms of like passive income, active income, business ideas, all the things. So if a person is, let's say, they're making a six figures or a high, they're making good money. However, they live in a high tax state or high living area. Essentially, they're not living check to check, but they're not saving enough money to the side in order to actually buy real assets or passive income through real estate or even through stocks, dividend stocks, whatever they choose. So I'm wondering, what are some, like, based upon all the things, what would be your one or top three different things that they could do to start to bring more money in so they can reinvest it into their future?
Yeah. So, all right, we'll hit one from each of the make, keep, and grow portions. And excuse me here, I just need to clear my throat. It's still pollen season here. I think I got a little residual from my bike ride. So, all right, number one, if you're not accredited, if you're not making $200,000 or more a year, figure out how to make more money. You either need to grow your business, you need to grow your income through either switching, taking a different position or improving in what you are doing in your position, or start a side business or get another job. Drive Uber. There are so many things you can do. People say, "Oh, Chris, I can't do that because, I don't make enough money." I say, save 50%. People say it's impossible. I can't do that. You need to make more money. That's just the reality of it. I have a blog up there. If you search how to make 20 to 40 more hours in your day, I have a blog post. You can search through my blog as well. Tips to create 20 to 40 more hours in your life on a weekly basis. And it's very easy to do. It's just about priorities. So that's strategy number one. You say, hey, Chris, I'm successful. I'm making a lot of money in my W-2 role or my business. Okay. Do you have a tax strategy? If you're paying 20% or more in taxes, you do not have proper tax strategy. You need to get with an advisor that can help you do that. Feel free to reach out to me. I can put you in touch with some different groups that can help you do that. There are different tax strategies that you can do. There's different insurance strategies, depending on if you're a business owner or a W-2 employee. If you're a W-2 employee, you have less options that are out there. But if you're making $100,000 and you're paying a 50% marginal tax rate, which if you're listening, you're in California, you're saying, yeah, that's about right? Like I know people in California paying more than 50% marginal tax because they got a 14% state tax rate at the higher income levels. That's crazy. Move to Florida.
Florida. I was going to say that's where I'm moving to Florida when I get back.
I hate to say it, like, look, but you have to look at, geographic arbitrage, essentially, like moving to an area, if you can get a 14% raise, by moving, to an area that has a similar quality of life and environment, then, think about that. That younger gentleman that I was talking about earlier, he's now talking about moving back to Utah, but having a place in Mexico so he can surf and travel back and forth and do that. Like he started thinking differently. So he's like, I can have twice the properties, twice the income potential, and I can surf in Mexico. Because by the way, he's Mexican. So, he's got this unique opportunity where he has family down there. He can do something like that. Right. Instead, he's sitting there in California, renting and, paying a tremendous amount of tax. And then the third part is develop an investment plan. Now, look, you and I were talking a little bit about this before the show, but if you're contributing to a traditional retirement plan, this is something that Dave Ramsey talks a lot about. Dave Ramsey gives advice for poor people. If you want to be poor, and look, I'm sorry, but if you are making $100,000 or less in this country, you're basically working poor. I mean, it's unfortunate to say that, but you have to be making six figures or more to really be on an upward trajectory. Otherwise, you're really just treading water in a lot of ways. And there's some exceptions. That's a terrible blanket statement. Because if you're making 100K in San Francisco, you are poor, but if you're making 100K in rural America, that can be a lot of money. So there are exceptions. But if you're contributing to your 401k plan or your traditional IRA, you're inherently thinking that your tax rate is going to be lower in the future. Now, real quick, I'll go through the math with you. If your tax rate is 20% today and you invest at 10% and you say, hey, I'm going to avoid paying tax today, invest, let it compound at 10% and pay a 20% tax rate in the future, you will have the exact same amount of money as if you paid the 20% tax today, invested at 10%, and then didn't pay the 20% tax in the future. So going back to our engineering backgrounds, Desmond, I look at the assumptions and think, well, I don't like that assumption because I think taxes are going up. And I sure don't want to make less money in the future, which means either the tax brackets have to change or the tax rates have to go down. And I think the tax rates are going to change and the tax brackets are going to change and they're both going to go up. So I don't like that. I don't like that assumption. So you need to think about, is it making you feel good to put money into a retirement account that you don't know what the value is going to be and you're locked in until you're, at least 59, 60 years old? Or would you have less anxiety if you put money into cash flow investments that put money into your bank account every month that covered your basic expenses, that going back to that risk plan that we talked about, covered your basic expenses. So then you could take a higher paying job or a job that offered you, say, stock options or more opportunities, or you covered your mortgage, your car payments and your groceries and bills so you could start a business, right? What gives you more opportunity in the future? So ultimately, when you get to the grow point, you don't have to invest in specific investments, but I think the key strategy is put money into a plan that is going to kick off enough cash flow over a certain period of time. And I think anybody that's making a good amount of money can be financially independent in 7 years or less. Like that's the math. And I see
that's a hot take.
Yeah.
That's a hot take. 7 years or less. Yeah. I mean, yeah, especially if you're consistent and you follow the plan. Man, there's so much to unpack there, dude. First of all, that was a ton of value, and I truly appreciate that. Man, that was sick. Man, that was a super contrarian take, though. If you make less than 100, when you mentioned that, like when you start talking about the 401k stuff, I was like, man, it's almost like when you explain it, it's like almost like you're planning to be poor, like you are planning your entire life to not have enough money or to be capped at making a certain amount of money from a unconscious mentality, right?
Yeah. You are. And that's unfortunately, the traditional retirement and traditional financial planning, it's based around, again, it's like, are you like, I grew up, we weren't poor, like we were comfortable, but my parents never made 100 grand combined, like my grandmother made my clothes. We ate vegetables out of cans. I mean, like we didn't go on big vacations. If we went on vacation, we go to like Ocean City, Maryland. Maybe we go to like the state fair or, the Renaissance Festival or something like that. I didn't really like any of the vacations we took, frankly. And this isn't a slap in the face to my parents. They never asked me. They never said, hey, do you want to go to this camp or do you want to go on this vacation? Like I was just grateful to have an opportunity, but it wasn't amazing. It also wasn't terrible either. So, it was a lot better than a lot of people. It was a lot worse than a lot of people. But the fact of the matter is, that's what retirement advice is geared towards. And we need that. We really do need that because you need people to have a comfortable existence so they're not in poverty or destitute when they get older. But if you're listening to this, you're not taking the time away from your life to improve yourself so you can be not poor or destitute. You want to have an abundant lifestyle, but you have to change and recalibrate your mentality. That's why I said, hey, how many more years can you live, right? Would you rather live to 80 or 100? Okay. If you can change your brain and think, hey, I'm going to shift my brain from living to 80 to 100 and think how that may change the trajectory of my life. Well, instead of making 100,000, focus on making 300,000. You will immediately begin to devote energy, if it's important to you, to the opportunities. And guess what? You will draw those people into your life. It's not magic, but there's a lot of hard work. So after you have that vision, you need to take, as Tony Robbins says, massive action towards getting there. And again, I've shared my story. I didn't do it overnight, but what I can tell you is if you follow the advice that I give in my book, if you listen to what I say, instead of taking 15 years to get there, maybe it'll only take you 7. Now I've seen my college roommate go from, high paid W-2 employee to retired in less than 4 years.
Boom. Love it. Drop the mic. Yo, so Chris, thanks for coming on the show, man. This was fire. And man, I'm about to listen to this a few times. So audience, all his links are in the show notes. If you're driving right now, wait till you get to your destination, but definitely go check out the Next Level Income podcast. Go check out their blogs. I mean, this guy definitely thinks different. And I think he has some very interesting takes that we all can implement today. So Chris, man, thanks for coming to the show.
Desmond, always great to see you. Travel safely out there. And yeah, don't forget, grab a copy of the book, nextlevelincome.com. Just click on the book link.
Boom. Guys, you made it to the end of the show. Congratulations. You just gave us your most precious resource on the planet, which is your time. And we're extremely grateful for you sharing this experience with us around the campfire. And we'll see you at the next show. Cheers.